Hello, Way Home YouTube family. Steffi Star here. I am back with Tara. Tara is giving us interview number 2 out of 3 after her experience with Awakening Ceremony, a heroic dose spirit molecule ceremony. She's here to share with us 1 week after her experience, what has been happening, what it felt like, and we will get right to it. So remind us of your name and your age, sister, if you would.
Tara Karen, 53.
Fantastic. And what was your intention going into ceremony a week ago?
To really purge what I've been holding on to. And even as I say it, my fist is getting really tight. To release what no longer serves me, release my past, my pain, my suffering, and to really let it go. And I'm getting the chills, and remove this shell around me that needs to shed the skin.
I love it. I remember that. All right. So in general, right now, just a general question. How are you feeling in general after the experience?
Now, excited, nervous, some anxiety, so hopeful, so wanting to do it, can't wait for the next go around of doing it, but knowing how I get to be within the next 2-3 months or so, knowing when and if I do another ceremony to see what shows up, how things are different. So it's like I have this goal of, God, I'm getting the chills. I have this goal of wanting the ceremony to be very different than the first one, knowing the work that I'm putting into it to see, wow, look at how she's transformed and changed in that period of time to what this ceremony is from the first one.
Yeah, because we're about to dig into it, but I've watched you this week, and I got to say, transformation is an understatement, and it has been an honor and a privilege to have a front row seat to watch you come out of what was very challenging a week ago into such profound shift and beauty. So we're going to get into that, but gosh, I'm so excited for you. And I am excited for the next time, whenever that is. You know, we try to wait a little bit of time in between to let these tools do the work that they're meant to do, not pile, experience on top of experience. That itself is problematic, but I'm glad you mentioned that. So specific to Awakening Ceremony, specifically because you had that experience a week ago, how are you feeling today?
The first word that came to me is cleansed, clear, focused. And even though there is anxiety, I sometimes have anxiety anyway. I've been cleansing and clearing and purging my house and things and attachments. And I feel like it's bringing up a lot. So I'm more, I don't know if the word is nervous or anxious, but it's just like, I'm like, I don't know what cocaine feels like, but I feel like I'm wired.
Okay.
And it's a lot. And it's like, I have to breathe. I have to calm myself down because today I'm not calm.
Okay.
So it's this excitable energy, but nervous and anxiety of what I'm going through and what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Very normal and to be expected for sure, especially for you. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but yeah, there was a lot that came up last Saturday, and I have no doubt that exactly as you feel, exactly what has happened this week is necessary. Before you did ceremony, we've talked about it in our work together, stillness and silence and non-attachment to a compulsive mind. These things have been an issue all along. I love that this week, it seems like you are more at peace with these aspects of yourself, and in spite of the anxiety and excitability around perceiving it more clearly, just watching you do what you've been doing in order to resolve this in yourself and in your life has been magical. There are no superlatives, beautiful enough to explain what you've been through this week. So we're going to get to that. What awareness or awarenesses did you have on the day of your ceremony almost immediately after coming out. So I'm not talking about what's occurred over the course of the week. We will get to that. But on that day after ceremony, please tell the folks at home what you went through, what it was like, how you were feeling. I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, I just remember myself. I was trying to remember what it was like being in it, and I kept hearing the words, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. And even now, that's all I'm saying to myself. I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. And I feel that it's two meanings. One is I don't want the pain in my body anymore.
Mm.
And I don't want these things anymore. I mean, who has 30 pairs of glasses? You know, I don't want the knickknacks. I don't want the big dining room table. I don't want all of this because what does it all mean? And it's that awareness came out like because I just kept saying, I don't want it. I don't want it. And it's really two different things. The pain in my body that I hold for the moment and the stuff like I just want to minimalize less so I can be more.
Yeah. Yeah, I say to people all the time, what you are is hiding underneath a pile of consumerist crap that you do not need. You know, we live in a consumerism, materialistic society. And we think, well, if one is good, 10 has to be better. And a lot of us are walking around with emptiness inside that we don't quite understand how to fill correctly. So things become really attractive. You know, we here in America are surrounded by shiny, glittery, sparkly things, and they'll fill a space for 10 minutes, but 10 years down the road, when you live in a house that you know, I'm not saying you do, but when people live in a house they can barely move around in, all that shine is gone and it's a burden. It's something you carry instead of something that fills you. So I love that that was your experience. And yes, you had a very interesting awareness during your whole experience. I'm not even talking about afterward when you came out, but you were in a fight. You were in a fight the entire time you were in your journey. And there was so much that was coming to you that was, you were telling yourself how these things are not serving you, the things, the pain, the hair, you know. So, and yeah, watching you purge your environment this week and start to begin practicing stillness as a tool has just been miraculous and beautiful. So what awarenesses have arisen for you over the week? So coming away from Saturday, resettling into your life, into your home, what's really come forward from the event itself now that you've had time to let it process and settle some?
So what's interesting, the night I came home, I don't even know how I drove home, but I did. I mean, of course, I was fine. Steffi checked me. I was fine, but the whole purpose is to be still and rest. So what do I do as soon as I come home? I organize, I move my plants that felt like I still couldn't be still. And I still feel I was in the medicine. And the next day I was very sad. I was very sad. And of course, Steffi reached out. If you need me, I'm here. And I felt like I have to try to do this on my own. I don't want to run to someone else. I need to kind of sit with it. And I did.
Yep.
And then we've, spoken almost every day on how I feel. And I'm more present. I'm more focused. And we had a conversation about the attachments I have and when is enough enough. And I against, I guess, not wanting to give up things, the trinkets, whatever, the energy it holds, what it means to me when we had a conversation, because I wasn't ready. And like, I just did it in the next hour. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start with a small area.
Yeah.
I'm going to get rid of it. Again, my personality is kind of all or nothing. And I was sitting and I'm like, okay, wait, now I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this. I want to do that. And I said, we can't be opposite from what we are. All or nothing, everything and then nothing. What, are you not going to have a bed left? So I sat with like each piece and I was like, is this a need? Is this a want? Is it serving you? What does it mean to you? And there was a moment that I took a picture down. I was like, no, I'm not ready yet because I had to be ready.
See,
But I also feel like I surrendered without even realizing it consciously when we got off the phone like an hour later. Like who gets rid of all the stuff that I wasn't ready to?
yeah, right.
But I started small
Correct.
and breathing into it and feeling what that is, because what that really is not what it really is. It's a piece of something that means so much more.
Yeah.
And what showed up was I I gave a lot of stuff. I can't even believe I gave away a huge table and my rug and so much stuff. And what happened was this person on Facebook, we connected after I messaged 40 people, and I gave it to people that are coming out of addictions, that are in transitional living, that need it. And I'm like, hello, like everything's lining up the way it needs to. Like it's beautiful. It's beautiful
See.
for free. I gave for free.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so funny because for those of you at home watching this, in general, as a facilitator, professionally facilitating these ceremonies, is very interesting how the universe gives me a word. I'd say 90% of the time, I get a word during the course of someone's experience while I'm holding space, while I'm directing energy. I'm very connected to the person and I get a word for them. And in Tara's case, not only did I get a word for her, but I got the antidote. The universe literally said to me, the word to Tara is attachment, but the antidote is her understanding the definition of the word enough. And I think it was Monday or Tuesday, we had the conversation about attachment as a word and understanding the definition of enough. And I remember you said to me on the phone, you're like, yeah, but I work with these things. I'm a psychic medium. I use these trinkets and they hold energy and they mean something to me and they mean something to my clients. And I remember saying to you, and to an outside observer, it might have sounded harsh, but the truth is hard. But the truth is also what we get from people who love us. And I could not love you more. And I said to you, listen, you can find a million reasons why you need 30 Archangel Michael statues. And you can find a reason why you need 50 pyramid-shaped crystals. But at the end of the day, true spirituality requires nothing. And there was a slight resistance, and I talked to you about resistance. And I'm speaking to you folks at home on YouTube. When I tell you that it probably was 55, 57 minutes later, I get pictures and text messages that say, all right, this is the before, and I'm ready to organize this one spot. And I love how a hard conversation eased its way into a willingness to take one baby step. And we as humans think that we can save the world. We think we can turn our health around. We think that we can save our relationship with one decision. But what people don't understand, what we learn in self-care school is those larger accomplishments are made up of a basket full of concurrent, consecutive, smaller goals and exercises. There is a way to be healthy. There is a way to heal the world. There is a way to save your relationship, but you don't fill a pool all at once. I want the pool filled. We put the hose in and we wait 3 days, depending on how big it is, because it takes what it takes. And that conversation, it was almost like you had to allow your resistance to be expressed. But as soon as we talked about it, you were released from it. And within that, by the next morning, I had pictures of places in Tara's home where there was calm as opposed to chaos. There was order as opposed to disorganization. And I was like, holy shit, she got it. And it's been a cavalcade of that for the remainder of the week. Like she said, almost like she was concerned she was going to swing the other way. Well, am I not going to have a bed? You're going to have a bed, boo-boo, I promise. But it's just been so beautiful watching you get out of your own way. You sit with what is challenging. You follow the prescription and take the medicine and be cured moment by moment, bit by bit. It's thank you. Like, it's such an honor, sister.
Yeah.
Okay. So one other thing about the week since, have you had any dreams and or encounters? So people IRL, people in real life, people in dreams, experiences in dreams, anything that you feel like, okay, this is out of the ordinary. I feel like this is directly related to what happened for me a week ago. And are there, it can be a yes or no answer, but if you want to elaborate, because you do have a yes answer, whatever about that you can or want to share, we would love to hear.
Going back to the spider with like the web, which is interesting because it wasn't there last night. So, but the baby one is. Yeah, just because we've been talking over time about the spider that appears and then the web is there and then the next day it isn't. So I feel like I'm the spider, I'm making the web, I'm taking it down. So I feel like that was connected to the experience and ceremony, like I get to create what I want, I take it down, I put it up, I am the spider. That's the one thing I could think of. And it's interesting because I usually remember my dreams, but I can't at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. I do know that I was going the speed limit yesterday.
Look at you, Mario Andretti.
Because I always, well, not always. Sometimes I drive fast. And I said yesterday, I'm going to take this entire block and go the speed limit. And I did. And it felt good because I was present, focused in the moment. I wasn't rushing. And it was just like chill, relax. Because my body doesn't know that, but I'm learning it.
Yes, you are.
And like today, I didn't do a timer, but I sat in stillness and my eyes were closed the whole time. And I knew like someone was going to come in the house and I knew it was going to be 20 minutes later. I got up because the birds banged and that's what got me out of it and scared me. And it was 25 minutes.
For those of you at home, listen, you do not know what a feat that is for this young lady right here. Tara has a lot of frenetic energy. Tara has a very active, dare I say, compulsive mind. We've been dealing with this for many months in the work that she and I have been doing together. And for her to get 10 minutes of stillness is astounding, but 25 minutes, sister, I'm telling you, it's going to turn into, not only is it going to turn into longer and longer swaths of time, but you are going to become so profoundly addicted to the calm. You're going to become so desirous of the peace and the stillness that it will become your next new thing to dig your heels into and really give it your all. I have no doubt about it. And profoundly healing. Yeah.
One other thing, sorry to interrupt.
No.
That came to mind. The shopping with the Temu that I was tested. That I almost bought a bunch of crystals after I just cleaned stuff out. And I was like, you guys are testing me out. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
We put the web up, we take the web down. We get rid of our stuff. We want to buy more on Temu. No, I tell people all the time, I don't get 12 hours between when a lesson really hits. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Usually within 6 hours, but never more than 12 hours. The universe is like, okay, you're up to bat. Ball striker hit. What are you going to do? So I love that later on that night, after the purging and the clearing of your space, you almost lost it on Temu, but you didn't, which is the most beautiful thing. So congratulations, sister. Like I said, this has been so glorious watching you do this, and I'm so excited for you. What were the aspects with the experience with which you struggled? Like what parts of last Saturday were really, really challenging?
I was excited but nervous going in. It's the unexpected. But I was so resistant. I was 3 hours of talking. Steffi tried to calm me and not make me, she suggested I be still. And I couldn't. I didn't stop talking. I didn't stop moving because my body holds a lot of pain. And it was so uncomfortable. And I felt I was stuck. I felt I was in it forever. I was grunting. I feel like, spiritually vomiting, like nothing was coming out. I was just holding on so tight.
Mm.
And I still like hear that voice, and I feel like my voice was a little different because I'm trying to remember
You did not, you had a completely different voice the whole entire time. I haven't even mentioned that to you yet, but girl, I was like, who the heck is this? And where did Tara go? Because you sounded like a child. You had,
Yes,
when you were talking, it was your inner child. We're going to get into this in your integration over time. Your little girl showed up so strongly, and it was her voice that said, I don't want this. I don't want this. That's exactly what you sounded like. Yes, sister.
oh, and we didn't even talk.
Straight out the gate, off the cuff, right now.
And that's the voice that I keep hearing in my head. I don't want this. And it was so high pitched. And I'm like, I know it's a part of me. It's a voice of me. So thank you for saying that. Cause I'm like, I know it was different.
Yep.
And that's every time I'm doing something now, whatever I'm doing, if I'm driving, brushing my teeth, whatever, I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want this. But it's a reminder.
Yes.
It's the pain. It's the things. It's the stuff. Oof, wow. And I was very grateful that there was a male sitter who was fabulous, Dominic. I felt I needed that support, because I was molested by my grandfather, maternal, but I felt I needed that other level of support and to be a male.
Yep. We worked that all out before your ceremony. I'm very cognizant and sensitive to the energies. After almost 8 years of doing this, I understand the person who comes has certain needs that they certainly probably aren't even aware of. But in ceremony after ceremony after ceremony, I am acutely aware of when feminine energy needs to be present, when masculine energy needs to be present, when the balance is really going to be beneficial for somebody who's coming based on their history. So we figure all of that out in advance. And Tara did come to the conclusion that she wanted Dominic in particular. I work with several male facilitators / sitters. Actually, they're all pretty much facilitators at this point. But yeah, I knew Dominic needed to be there. And I never tell people what to do. We've had that conversation, but I make recommendations based on what experientially I know is going to be the highest and best outcome. And I was so glad when you chose to have Dominic ultimately be present. And I know that he needed to be there. And his presence there was extremely beneficial for the aspects of your sexual history that were being dealt with. So thank you for
And I just remember there was a butterfly that flew by, and it was intense. It was emotionally painful, physically. I was so drained. I kept saying, I'm so exhausted. I'm so exhausted. I'm so exhausted. And eventually after 3 hours, I finally calmed down, and then we eventually went outside, and we just talked a lot. But that's why, like, I would not have it any other way.
Okay.
Even no matter how, you're just in another realm, like, and you feel, I felt like I was stuck in there forever. And the noises, the grunting, the crawling on the floor, I almost broke her bed. I
wasn't going to say it, but yeah. You were off the chain, sister girl.
Like an iron woman, I think it was mostly my right leg.
5 feet, 100 pounds. You almost broke the day bed. I'm like, I've had hundreds of pound men on that bed that
First of all, I'm 4'11" and a half, and I'm not 100 pounds, but thank you. But, and it just, it kept, and I even remember, I think I said to you, I'm not going to break your bed, like, and I was joking in my ceremony, but that's like how I show up in life, even though
Yeah.
I am funny, and we talked about that a little bit in ceremony. Yeah, and I was a little, is the word paranoid? I don't know, but I kept saying like, what are they talking about? What are they talking about?
Yeah, we didn't talk. We don't talk during ceremony for hours, Dominic and I. We speak, with a language that, because we've worked together for so long and because we know one another as well as we do, we don't have to utter a word. We know how to communicate. He reads the energy just about as well as I do. So we're both always really aware of what's going on. The one thing you kept saying, because, we use humor to reduce anxiety. We use humor to deflect discomfort in our normal lives. So, who we are in our normal life shows up on steroids during ceremony. And I do remember, I rarely speak to people during ceremony. We talked about it. You could talk to me all day long, but when you're with the molecules, you're with the molecules. And I don't belong in that. But at one point I did speak to you because you kept saying, why are you not laughing? And I remember just saying, because Tara, this isn't funny. It wasn't funny. I knew where you were. I knew why you were uncomfortable. I knew that you didn't want to feel it anymore, but sister, there is no way out but through. So it's not funny. And there's no joke to deflect the seriousness of the brain rewiring, the neuropathway rewiring, the trauma history and trauma memory rewiring. So yeah, that was the only time I really spoke to you while you were in it. And I just kept saying, this is not funny. This is so serious right now. So yeah, it was an interesting experience.
And I burp on a daily basis, which we talked about as purging.
Yeah.
I only burped once in ceremony.
Yeah.
I did keep going to the restroom, but I go in my, normally every 15, 20 minutes anyway. But it was like, I was saying to myself, am I running from me? But I mean, when I went, I had to go. It's not like I'm creating.
Yeah, you weren't hiding out in the bathroom.
Right. But it was just a lot. And what's interesting is my boy cat, my black cat, which I know is my witch's cat, he's sitting here with me right now. So
I lost your audio. There you go. Onyx is sitting there with you, so calm.
So calm. And he's
love it.
usually a meower, a crier. I want food. And I'm calm just petting him. Like I feel like they feel it. They feel it. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so what aspects of the experience would you say brought you comfort on that day? Do you remember? And believe me, this might be a big fat no for you. I don't think it is, though. So I'm going to ask the question because I do ask this question every time of every participant. What aspect of that day were you able to find comfort in?
I don't know if the word's comfort, but more clarity.
Okay.
And I guess eventually with a lot of clarity can come comfort. But because I was so out of sorts, is that comfort? So I feel like knowing what I found out can maybe be emotional comfort, like because I found out love is pain, pain is love, that's my belief system.
Right.
So comfort in knowing what I needed to find out to break free from the chains, the prison, the pain, the suffering, the emotional drainage and damage, to know like this is why my body and my legs holds the pain, because that's how, I'm getting the chills. That's how I relate to love, because my grandfather molested me, showing his love because that's what he knew, because it was done to him. So I get to break the pattern. I get to break the history, even though I don't have children. And I think that's why I never wanted to.
Why? Same reason I don't have children.
But it's that comfort of knowing what I need to know. But there were moments that I literally felt, because I remember like hugging myself and like this smile. That was very comforting, but it didn't last long.
Right. No, it didn't. I remember the butterfly. You seemed very, very comforted by the presence of that butterfly outside of the window. And then there was
Yes,
one other time, if you're willing to let me share the aspect towards the end of your journey, when you finally did calm down, may I retell
of
part of the story?
course.
So we had been at it for well over 2 hours. And of course, Tara wanted to go outside after about 30 minutes, which was absolutely a no bueno, because the sounds and the screaming and the fits of physical exertion, like we just weren't going to have that outside of, a safe container. So we stayed inside specifically and purposefully for about 2 hours, 15 minutes, almost 2.5 hours. And then I finally realized that the change in scenery would be profoundly useful to you when we went outside, and you were able to sit in a chair, but you could not sit still. You were stomping your feet, slapping your leg. And I said, what's with all the movement? And you said, I am in so much pain. And I remember saying to you that the pain is up here, because the one thing that anybody who knows anything about psychedelic therapies, about hallucinogenic molecules, is they are pain reducers, pain removers. I can take somebody in intractable pain, serve them spirit molecules, and within 40, 50 minutes, they are pain-free. Psychedelics are analgesic. They remove pain. So I knew the pain you were having was all in here. And finally, we were outside. It's Florida. It was the middle of the day. You were like, I'm hot. I have to go back inside. And that was when I encouraged Tara. I said, let me set 5 minutes on the timer. And I would like for you to do the best you can to be still and silent for just 5 minutes. And you agreed reservedly. It took about 3 or 4 minutes to get you truly calmed down. But eventually we got you calmed down. I began the timer. And although there were a couple little grunts and groans, you held up your end of the bargain. You didn't speak. There were no verbal communication, and you didn't move. You laid flat on your belly. And as soon as the alarm went off, I knew Tara was going to be up and at it again. And Tara turned over onto her back when the alarm went off. And Tara laid there for about 20 minutes. And that was at a point where Dominic and I looked at each other, and he was like, you were choosing silent stillness. You could settle into silent stillness. And we just held that space for you. And finally, something happened. I had to get up and go to the bathroom. I don't even remember. But the time for the silent stillness had come to an end. You came out of it. I remember I was sitting in the chair across the room from you. You came out of it and you looked at me with this smile on your face that was so organic and so indicative of what was going. Listen, you got a 1,000-watt smile. You are breathtaking. You walk into a room, it lights up. There's no doubt about it. I have never seen this smile on you. However, this smile came out of complete and total surrender, relaxation, no pain. You looked at me, you gave me this smile I'd never seen on your face. And I was like, oh my God. And I said to you, what's your pain level now? And I got up and started to walk across the room, and I saw the tears coming out of the corner of your eye, and you didn't even have to say it. The pain was gone. You were still, you were calm, you were at peace, dare I say. And I was like, okay, we're going to get somewhere with this one today. It was so beautiful, sister. So, yeah, thanks for letting me tell that story, because that was, for me, that was the aha moment that, okay, this needed to happen. It needed to happen exactly the way it happened. And she is absolutely 100% going to get where she's going. Because throughout the majority of it, I was like, wow, I wonder how many of these she's going to have to go through. I wonder how many more days and months and weeks, perhaps years, she's going to have to live with this psychic, emotional, spiritual pain that riddles her body. I wasn't sure that we were going to get somewhere on that day, but I saw that smile and was like, oh, yeah, we're good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So last
Yeah.
question, and then the interview is over, my love. And thank you for doing this. And thank you for making all of us here online a part of your journey, helping us understand better how to do oh, there is one other question that I did not ask. Yeah. So there's a couple more questions. I take it back. What are your main takeaways thus far from the experience? 1 week out, all the shifts that have been happening, what would you say in bite-sized pieces, were your main takeaways from ceremony on Saturday?
It needed to happen the way it happened, how it happened, and the timing of it. And I am amazed in less than a week of how much I have shifted from things that have kept me stuck and stalled in life, holding on. We're both gonna cry.
Yeah.
And that I'm open to receive this beautiful life that is right here in front of me.
I love it.
And that you're an angel.
I love you. You're an angel too. We're all angels. We're all source energy. All right. The next question is, and this is not me fishing for a compliment. I really want you to help people at home understand the difference between sitting in your house and ingesting a handful of spirit molecule by yourself or with your friends, and the value added benefit to sitting with a experienced practitioner in this work, a facilitator whose job it is to provide an appropriate set and setting, assist you with preparation, walk you through post-ceremony integration. What is the value in having had a guided, facilitated experience as opposed to, haphazardly at home all by your lonesome?
You wouldn't have the same safe experience. You wouldn't have the same experience. I couldn't have done it without you. I couldn't have done it myself. It was just the prepping, the preparing, the conversations, the relationship we have, the connection. I would think, because I don't do mushrooms on my own, I would think it would be a totally different experience. You do it on your own, you're in your house, whatever, blah, blah. Then with a facilitator who is connecting with you on another energetic level that also knows what you need in that moment, because maybe if it was in my own house, I would have gone out after 30 minutes, or 5, right? Or
you were
5.
trying to escape.
Yeah, I think I remember going to the door or something, but yeah, it's what you really need, especially with Steffi, for you to have a successful 100% hands-on, powerful, intense experience. Because if you didn't have Steffi as a facilitator, explaining and educating you and supporting you and holding space, it wouldn't have the same effect.
I agree 100%. And the only correction I would make is you don't have to have Steffi. Steffi is here. If you want Steffi, twhic.com, hit me up. But it is imperative that if and when you want to approach spirit molecules for physical healing, mental healing, emotional healing, spiritual ascension, my favorite work is the work of people who've gone as far as they can on their spiritual journey with their mind and the books and the yoga and the meditation. They're like, there's more. I know there's more. I don't know how to access it. My favorite work is spiritual ascension work. So that is the kind of work where a hands-on, experienced and knowledgeable facilitator comes in handy. You can find those people all over this country, but don't presume that because someone says, I'll sit with you, I know what to do. Just like I vet my clients, just like I do an intensive psychiatric medical history screening, vetting, you have to vet your facilitator. Don't just grab the first person you find, call the first person who pops up on the interwebs. You don't need to come here, but make sure you find somebody, question them. If they don't want to answer your questions, they're not your person. But this is a very different experience. And I'm not saying that sitting home alone by yourself and doing it can't be beneficial. I'm not saying that doing it in a group of people who are accustomed to these energies cannot be beneficial. But there is a very profound difference between that kind of exposure to spirit molecules and the creation of a sacred container, the preparation of the body, mind, and soul with all of the dieta in advance, the access to integration counseling afterward. Because I say to people all the time, the ceremony is important because without ceremony, you don't get to integration. But integration is the most important part of your ceremony. So all of those things have to be considered if you are looking to access spirit molecules to assist you in a deep, profound, lasting, understandable healing. So I'm going to leave it at that. But thank you for the words you shared, and I appreciate how you helped educate people. You have been through other spirit molecule ceremonies. It's not my job to share which ones, unless you want to bring them up. You feel free to say whatever you want to say. But how would you say this experience for you stands in comparison to the other times you have accessed the sacred approach to spirit molecules? Not was it better or worse?
Yeah.
Not a qualitative, well, I liked coming to the way home because what do you feel like you got this time that maybe wasn't present last time? What do you feel like was the benefit of this molecule as opposed to perhaps any other molecules you've experienced, kind of just experientially for you? Because these are becoming more and more popular and people are accessing these molecules from a variety of plants, animals, and fungi over and over and over. So how did psilocybin and the sacred approach compare to maybe other molecules for you?
I feel I got more out of it where I am in my life right now. Like I've benefited from the knowledge and the messages that I got, because I did ayahuasca 3 times and the first time was beautiful, which in a way I was hoping for this one to be beautiful, but if it would have been beautiful, I wouldn't have gotten what I got out of it. I mean, it was still beautiful, but in an intense way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second time with Aya was 10 hours of palpitations, not enjoyable. But the third time I found out I was molested. So this one was really just like the beautiful messages on how to be gentle and kind with yourself and like reminders and just all about self-care. And I feel like it was just more lessons, more messages.
Yeah, I bring that question to the interview because what I have discovered for myself and what I see in clients all the time and what I see in other friends who have accessed these tools for their own becoming is there's no, I'm going to go to the jungle, I'm going to do ayahuasca 4 times or 5 times in a week, and I'm going to be healed. Like at the end of the day, these molecules are in our natural environment for us to develop a relationship with them. So the very first time you approach is going to look dramatically different from the second time you approach. And it's interesting because I've developed a relationship with these molecules now for years. And I can tell you the places I get to with large doses, I can't ever imagine doing a heroic dose again, because with a fraction of a heroic dose, I go all the way out, face melting, reality dissolving, out of the 3D esoteric thinking mind, all the way back to source energy, oneness energy in other realms as other entities and beings. So we develop a relationship. This isn't a hit it and quit it. This isn't a one and done. This isn't, oh, I did mushrooms and it didn't do anything for me. When we truly want this work, when we truly want to have these healings, we have to develop a relationship with the tools that take us to these uncomfortable but profoundly revelatory places. So that's why I bring it up, because every journey you've been on, sister, prepared you for the journey you had last Saturday. Yeah.
And even a month ago, we knew this date, and I knew this date ahead of time. I just had to have everything line up. But even a month ago is when I started feeling like, less social media, less things.
Right.
I want
because you were in prep. I tell people the minute you make a commitment, the minute you set the date, you pay your fee and you begin your prep, you're in ceremony. Ceremony is not a day down the road. Ceremony is, I set my intention, I committed to the time, I paid my money, and now I'm preparing myself. And that is the beginning of ceremony, always. So I am thrilled to death to call you a sister and a friend. I love that you have entrusted this work with me to the degree that you have. And I cannot wait, folks. You know how we do here at The Way Home. There is going to be a third interview with Tara 3 weeks from now. It is the 1 month post-event, post-session interview. So remember that face, remember that 1,000-watt smile, remember this girl who sat here today and talked about her journey, because there's going to be a whole different human 3 weeks from now on the other side of this Zoom room. Is there anything else you want to share or say, sister, before I stop recording? And then you and I will continue to talk, so don't hang up the call. But anything else you want to say that you feel like you need to get off your chest, or just want to share with people out in the bio universe?
Yeah, I mean, if there's any resistance or hesitation, reach out to Steffi. She will make you feel like you're making the right decision, whether it's doing it or not doing it.
See, yeah, because we've been talking about this for 3 years. She called me up 3 years ago. 2021 was our first conversation. When are we going to do this? And it's not been time. And it wasn't time at the beginning of the year when you set your first date with me. And it wasn't time. So now it's time. And it happened. And it's beautiful. And I love it. Thank you, baby. All right. We'll see you for the 1 month post interview on the Way Home YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. If you got any benefit below, to reach out to me specifically. I love sharing information. There's no hard sales tactics. If you belong here, you will find your way here. That's all there is to it. So anything you want to know about me or the Way Home is down in the description, and we'll see you shortly.
Bye.